You'll see this? Mm-hmm. It's got to be the War Games match. This has to be the future for Survivor Series right here. I don't see how it couldn't be anything else at this point. It's crystal clear. This has to be the agenda. This storyline, once again, has found a way to evolve. I genuinely just don't see how people could not be invested into the story. For the last 4 years, this Bloodline storyline has had its peaks and it's had its dry moments, but every single time it got dry and you didn't care about it and you felt like it was falling off, they always found a way to evolve it and bring it back up again, and they've done that yet again, just based off one segment and adding one guy to the group. I'm really liking the direction this is going in. Roman Reigns' return is going to be so monumental, bro. Like, the pop he's going to get is going to be crazy, and then whenever they do form the original bloodline with the Usos and probably Sammy as the honorary Us, that pop might be even crazier, bro. Hear me out, though. I think they need to get rid of Paul Heyman as well. Like, Paul Heyman doesn't fit for this bloodline. He fits for Roman Reigns' idea of the bloodline. This new bloodline, Paul Heyman don't even want to be there, for being honest. He's stressing out. He going through depression, bro. Like, he not rocking with Solo's bloodline and adding these people within the bloodline that are very uncontrollable, like the Tongas and Jacob Fatu. Like, Paul Heyman not really vibing with this new bloodline. A better fit would be somebody else who welcomes the chaos, and I really think they should get rid of Paul Heyman and bring in Armando Alejandro Estrada. Seriously, think about it. Armando Estrada used to be the manager of Umaga, and Umaga was a wild man in WWE, man. He was out of control, like, during his peak, and then he also did little stuff with Jacob Fatu on the Indies, for people who don't know, around, like, 2019-ish, so he has history within the bloodline and people who have been attached within that family, and Solo is kind of taking a lot of the things that Umaga has done, like the Samoan Spike finisher, and, just kind of was repping his style a little bit when he was more of the enforcer and didn't speak much. So I feel like Armando Estrada would be a much better fit for that bloodline, and then when the newer bloodline comes back, Heyman goes to that bloodline, and now you really have like an even playing field. Not to mention, there's still other options out there that could really add to this. Hikuleo is still out there somewhere, and that's the younger brother of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. For people who may not know, this guy's 6'8", and he's the baby brother, so he's still out there somewhere. I thought he was going to show up on SmackDown instead of Jacob, but I'm like, oh, they adding Jacob? Hikuleo could still join this? Obviously, you still got Zilla out there. Now, I'm not really too sure if Zilla will be in the picture too soon. I mean, he did, post on his IG, so I don't know. I'm not really sure. I mean, he only been wrestling for about a year now, I believe, not even a full 2 years, so he's still learning a lot of things. But I mean, these Samoans, bro, they just pick things up like that, bro. They're just naturally gifted at this because the business is just in their DNA. So maybe Zilla is going to be more ready than we even know. He's super young, and he fits more of the Roman Reigns version of the bloodline, I feel like, because of the connection with Umaga. And even though if they added Armando Estrada to the Solo bloodline, the tattoo of his dad on his chest, Jay kind of got the similar tattoo on his leg of Umaga, and Umaga was responsible for getting the Usos into reality wrestling, which is Booker T's promotion, and kind of really helped guide the Usos in wrestling. And I feel like he would have more of a connection just based off his father with the Usos and Roman and everything fitting with their bloodline than the Solo version of the bloodline. Lance Anoa'i still out there as well. That's Roman Reigns' cousin. I mean, he was in WWE a couple years ago, made like an appearance for like a squash match or something like that. And this is when Roman was still the big dog, so this was a few years ago. But I mean, if they wanted to add him, Roman Reigns could recruit him. He's related to Roman, so that would make sense right there as well. But even if they didn't want to add any more people, I think it's pretty cool what they got right now. I mean, Jacob, the Tongas, and Solo are going to be forced to reckon with on SmackDown. And then you already got an even matchup with Roman, the Usos, and Sami Zayn as the honorary Us right there. So if that's the direction they really wanted to go in, that's perfectly fine. But then, like I said, you still have Hikuleo out there. So if he comes in, that would make sense for Solo's bloodline. And that would really, really be hard to be stopped right there for any group to take down. Then you have Roman having to add one more person. Zilla could be the option, possibly, but you never really know, man. I mean, there's so many people out there in this bloodline. They're everywhere. No cap, though, this new bloodline is giving off a crazy aura, and I just don't see how people just don't feel it, especially with Solo, bro. Like, Solo, the way he's been getting up in Paul Heyman's face and making demands that Heyman are saying that are out of his elements, and him not really caring, like, I don't care what you say. I'm at the head of the table now. We're going to do what I say or else. He reminds you of that one boss that you just don't want to work for, like in a mob. Like if you were in a mob, you don't want to work for that boss because he's dangerous and he's unpredictable and you never know what his next really move is, and most of his strategists is just really not a strategy. He's just a wild person, bro. Like, with Roman Reigns, it makes him so different from Solo. And that's why the wise man fits more in Roman's bloodline than it does for the Solo bloodline, because Paul Heyman can't really be a wise man in Solo because he doesn't listen. Roman Reigns will listen to at least the advice Heyman says and understand that there could be consequences with every action. And so Roman Reigns looks at the playing field. Okay, these could be the options right here. If we do this could be the consequences of that. Can't do that. This would be a better option. Solo ain't hearing none of that. Solo's like, I don't care, bro. We're going to do whatever, and we're not going to care what the consequences are. And that could be very, dangerous. Once we get this new Bloodline Civil War, we're going to have to come up with another word than cinema, because it's going to be beyond cinema. I don't know what word we can come up with, but we're going to have to figure out a new word, because, my gosh, once we get this new Bloodline Civil War, it's going down for real, bro. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be epic.